Copying is something that is blatantly wrong and is stealing. But there is a couple of examples where copying is a good thing. And I'm going to explain that with 3 different situations right now. First things first, there was a giant drama recently with Brent Rivera where he blatantly stole a YouTuber named Kelwack's video. I'm going to show you this video right now. If you go to YouTube and you type in Kelwack, he actually made his own entire video based on it. So I would encourage everyone who is here to watch that video. But we are specifically talking about his shortest person video right here. This is the video. He is holding her in the thumbnail. It is very much so a great video. I would encourage anybody to watch that one as well. He clearly spends a lot of time on his videos. But if you look at Brent Rivera, shortest person as well, there is almost a carbon copy of his thumbnail right there. Down to the way that the arms are positioned, there's a carbon copy. And I know what you're saying. Versus tallest man. That is a big deal. The second half of the video is entirely different. And that's what we're going to look at right now. So, I made a quick pro-con sheet of Brent Rivera stealing the content. The first and mainly the only pro that I could find was that it introduced it to a new audience and slightly innovated on the idea, adding the tallest person. Is it okay to copy the first half of somebody's video? Absolutely not. But he did introduce it to a new audience of children that would not have seen this otherwise or didn't get to see it in Kelwack. Cons. This is not hard for Brent Rivera to do. He has money and he has enough clout that he can just fly people out like that, and it's not that hard for him to do. And he should think of his own ideas because he has that more money to do so. Second, it is blatantly stealing. He used the same ruler on the thumbnail. That is messed up. Third, little innovation. Very little innovation. I mean, the second half was different, but if you looked closely while I was looking that up, you will actually see that Kelwack also made a world's tallest person, and he just used both of them. So that's not a lot of innovation. Fourth, he kissed his sister. That's weird. It's just a joke. Finally, he shows little remorse, and he's done this many times before. Now, off of the topic of Brent Rivera, there's actually a lot of this that happens specifically in the gaming industry, and I'm sure you have heard of the recent one that is called Pal World. Pal World is a Pokemon game where you basically have Pokemon with guns, and you can shoot the Pokemon as you're doing it. And now we're going to look at the pro-con sheet I made of the Pal World. First things first, it was innovating on the ideas of multiple games. If you look at Pal World and you play Pal World, you can see a very common thing where it is taking ideas from stuff like Breath of the Wild or stuff like Ark Survival Evolved and slamming it all into one game that is perfectly centered around Pokemon. Second, it is creating change within Nintendo is the big thing. And I kind of put that as 2 different pros. It's creating change. Pokemon has been a very bland game recently. You can see it in the most recent releases of Scarlet and Violet, where the game released in the most buggy state and was not even an innovation. And the game before Scarlet and Violet, called Legends Arceus, was actually an open world survival type game that Pal World, I would believe, Pal World gets most of its actual inspiration. Third, it's legally stealing. Now, what do I mean by legally stealing? So legally stealing is not necessarily a pro in itself, but the reason why it is a pro is because when you legally steal something, a lot of people will look at certain laws and try to enact change on said laws. They stole some of the art in Pokemon and used it as their own. Hopefully, we can change these laws in the future so that people cannot get away with this again. Also, I will say that some of the stolen ones that I have seen are actually supplementing, if that makes sense. So let's imagine this. Pokemon takes a couple of years to make a game. And when they create the new game, they take an old Pokemon and they change it a little bit. That's exactly what Pal World did. That's part of it, partially ties into legally stealing. There's also a second step of not stealing but supplementing, that is, we don't have a Pokemon game yet in 2023. Late 2023. We didn't get a Pokemon game. We got one in late 2022, and we haven't gotten one since. So realistically, Palworld is not taking any customers. It's actually just supplementing those existing customers and giving them something to wait. Cons, obviously, art stealing is not okay. And if they, I hope that there's some way that on the ones that are blatantly stolen, there is a way to get at least the artist behind Nintendo some type of compensation, because the artists behind Nintendo don't deserve this. Nintendo, maybe they deserve it, but the artists behind it don't. Stealing customers is a supplement, again, how I said supplementing, but a lot of people will be stolen. Some people will be stolen. Some people will be playing Palworld instead of Violet. Is it necessarily stealing Nintendo's money? No. But it is stealing customers, especially from places like Ark Survival Evolved that hasn't gotten an update in a while, or games similar to that. There's also very relevant copied sound bites in Palworld that are from Zelda. I can't even describe it. They might have been slightly pitched up or down, but they are exactly the same. And finally, the con is that there was rumors of AI involvement, and AI should not replace artists. I have a very hard stance on that. I feel like I resonate with art more when I know it's created by a human. And now I'm going to show you the very third and final thing of copying that everyone has just simply accepted as fact. Everybody is okay with it, more so than any other copied video ever, or video game. And that's Fortnite. If you don't remember, Fortnite actually got sued multiple times by PUBG, or PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, in the inception of Fortnite, because it was a blatant copy of the Battle Royale theme. It was blatantly a copy. PUBG did not win these suits. But Fortnite, if you remember, Fortnite before Battle Royale was not anything like Fortnite after Battle Royale. Real quickly, we're going to go through the cons first. It stole PUBG's player base entirely. No one played PUBG. I'm not going to lie, no one played PUBG, and PUBG isn't even talked about anymore, for real. I don't know a single person that has played PUBG in the last year. Epic Games can be extremely predatory at times, and one of the ways that they are actually being predatory is the next con on the list. They made it free to play. Now, free to play is not inherently a bad thing. It gets the audience ginormous. It makes the audience large, and that is a good thing for small indie games. But for games like, or for game studios such as Epic Games, it is not great, because now that people are, instead of paying $10 for an indie game that does the same thing as Fortnite, they were now playing Fortnite. And if that indie game wanted to actually make money off of this thing that they had been creating for a long time, they had to go free to play. And that can really hurt an audience before it helps the audience. The pro, longevity. Fortnite is talked about still. PUBG isn't. That's because Fortnite is genuinely, it ended up being the better game. It just won. Second, it innovated. There was building. There was a big change to PUBG that made it last much longer. Third, different art style entirely. The different art style was a huge thing for Fortnite that made it to where it wasn't gonna get taken away. Now, after a long time and after a long period of about 5 years, I will say Fortnite has changed its art style a lot to be less comic-y and more realistic. And I think that's just the game changing. But at the same time, it was a different art style at the start, and it still is today. It's different from PUBG, Warzone, whatever you would want to play. Fourth, there's an entirely new audience, and that audience is children. There's a reason why Fortnite recently made itself E for E10 and made a teen section. There's different. It is very different. And finally, free to play. Now, I know I just said free to play was a con, but there's also a lot of pros in free to play, because now when people know that they're making a free to play game that is a battle royale, they know how to monetize it. They know how to figure out how to do it. Back at the time, at the very start, when they made it free to play, it was very predatory, very wrong. Now, it has created change, and so now it is not actually hurting the indie game companies quite as much, and it is helping them learn a new monetization strategy, which is a W. And that's where I want to get to it. What exactly makes Palworld, or what Brent Rivera was doing, different from Fortnite? And I honestly feel like there's not much. The whole point is copying happens regularly. And I think that how Nintendo and people like Brent Rivera's, or people like Kelwalk, or anybody Brent Rivera has copied, needs to take into account is that if somebody's going to copy you, that means your formula's working. And that means that you can innovate even further and get even better. The ethics of copying is terrible. You should not copy. But if you are on the copied end, you need to innovate and you need to become better, or you're going to get left behind. That's my opinions on the ethics of copying. This was a little bit of a serious video, and not necessarily drama related as normal, but I will see you beat-ups later. I talk about these on Fridays and Sundays on stream. See you guys there.